in Indore. And that was the time when I was starting it. Being a school counselor is very difficult, and especially when you're dealing with a very good school and very, I would say, reputed school, and you are a novice. In fact, I never knew ABC of this. I was just pulled out of the classes and I was told that you have to do this. And it was that time when Surbhi's email popped up in our director sir's email, and he asked me that this looks interesting, this will help you, but I'm not sure if this meets our needs. And I looked at the structure of the entire program and I said, sir, let me just go and meet with people and those, let me gather those insights. So that was my initial point when I started doing it. And today I'm not very expert, to be very honest, but when I'm stuck up with anything, I just post a query on the group. And please listen to this very carefully. Most of my queries are not answered. Please help me with this, because basically my forte has come to the US, UK and Australia counseling. India, I'm still learning. Whenever I post any query, please, I'm requesting everybody, have a heed to it that it's some counselor struggling in the school and therefore she's reaching out. Thank you. Over to you. Listening. I'm eager to listen to Pranav as well. Surabhi, thank you so much.
Vandana, what I'll do is I'll add you to Untitled also, where you can post your query. Maybe that will help you answer. And maybe take it for granted or somebody might have DM'd you. So feel free to reiterate. I haven't got an answer addressed to this, right? Feel free to reiterate, because I remember our WhatsApp group to a Facebook group and you pinged me and said, Surabhi, don't do it. And I did not do just because you asked me to do it. You know, that's the idea. Totally.
Right. Thank you, Surabhi. I'll do that. Thank you so much.
I'll add you today itself. Pranav, spotlight is on you.
Hi guys, I'm muting everybody because there's some background noise from one of the participants. And okay, so welcome everybody. In fact, Surabhi asked me to kind of take a session on Metaverse, and I understand that this is a technical topic and not everybody is totally well versed with the topic, and some of the people are not even aware of the blockchain. So what I'll do is, rather than getting too much into technicalities, I'll basically take a very general overview of Metaverse so that everybody understands and it relates to everybody. It's not that it becomes technical and only few can relate to it. At the same time, what I'll do is I'll talk about the basics, very preliminary basics of blockchain also, so that you can relate blockchain to the metaverse and why it's become so significant these days. Right? Does that make sense? Cool.
Yes. You have muted us, that's why we can't say yes.
Yeah. But I think you guys can obviously in the chat put a thumbs up or something like that so that I understand. Cool. There's a question. Shreya is saying, is Pranav someone who has met Shashi Tharoor in an event? No, I never met Shashi Tharoor in an event. Anyways. Okay. So let me ask you, would anybody want to tell me what's a blockchain? And more importantly, what's the purpose of the blockchain?
Hello everyone, this is Vedant. As far as I know, blockchain is an algorithm to keep any online transaction up to date on a record without storing it locally. So blockchain is usually stored in the computers across the globe.
You're somewhat correct, but that's not exactly what I would say blockchain is. You said two things. One is keeping transaction up to date. Okay. And second is it's stored across computers across the world, like as in it's stored on computers across the world. The second part is more relevant. Uh, first also, but anybody else would want to try as to what's the problem that blockchain is solving. In fact, there's this one word. If you can answer that one word, you've understood what blockchain is.
Decentralized.
Decentralization. Can I try? Decentralization.
Who's saying that?
I mean,
Promet.
Right. So decentralization is correct, but what I'm looking at is why decentralization.
Transparency.
Transparency is correct, but no. So the question is, what is the problem that blockchain is solving? The answer is blockchain is solving the problem of dash. Manu, you are muted. You are trying to speak something, but
I think it tries to maintain authenticity of records, so that it can be backtracked at every step, and the person who are involved in this transaction, whatever it is, so they are kind of sure of its authenticity.
that's correct. But again, I'm still looking for that one word.
Okay.
Still missing that from some of the answers. Okay.
Anonymity?
Not really. Okay. So I'll answer that question myself. So blockchain is solving the problem of trust. Okay. So I'll tell you how and what is blockchain. So what happens is, if I give 10 rupees to Aditya and I record it somewhere, okay, suppose that record that I gave 10 rupees to Aditya as a loan, for example, was recorded by a particular bank called Punjab National Bank. So now I am trusting Punjab National Bank, and through Punjab National Bank, I'm trusting the Reserve Bank of India. And through Reserve Bank of India, I'm trusting the government of India to maintain the record of the transaction that I gave 10 rupees to Aditya. Because in the banking channel in the country, when I made that transaction, I am trusting the banking system that that transaction would not be manipulated. I am trusting that tomorrow, also when I open my net banking, it will show that I gave 10 rupees to Aditya, rather than it saying that Aditya gave 10 rupees to me. So in a way, I am trusting the Indian banking system. But what if the banking system becomes corrupt and they manipulate the transactions? Or the government of India becomes corrupt, they manipulate the transactions. Then whom do I trust? So that is the problem that blockchain is trying to solve. Whom do you trust? So there have been cases where you've not been able to trust the governments properly also, because the governments have become corrupt too, and they have manipulated data in the past. Blockchain is trying to solve that problem of trust. I'll try and take another example. So there's something called smart contracts on the blockchain. Okay, and I'll talk about the purpose of the smart contract, but I'll just give you an example. Suppose again Aditya and me, we have a bet, and the bet is that if it's rainy tomorrow, I'll give Aditya 10 rupees, but if it's sunny tomorrow, Aditya would give me 10 rupees. Okay, but when we are doing this social transaction between Aditya and me, we are trusting each other that nobody would back out from their word. What if tomorrow Aditya says that I'll not give you that 10 rupees, even if he's wrong in the transaction and he loses the bet, then also he says that I'll not give you the 10 rupees. Then what do? I'll not go to the court of the law to sue Aditya and pay probably lakhs of rupees just to recover 10 rupees from Aditya. So whom do we trust? So what happens is, in such cases, blockchain comes to the rescue. What we can do is, we can draft a smart contract and put it on the blockchain. In the smart contract, both of us can put 10 rupees. Depending upon the outcome of the transaction, whether it was sunny or whether it was rainy, the smart contract would automatically execute the transaction in the favor of the person who won. So there is no problem of trust, because the blockchain, it's a computer program which acts in a manner that both the parties can put their trust in the blockchain. So I'll tell you what blockchain is before we go further. I told you the problem that it's solving. The problem that the blockchain is solving, कि हम trust किसको करें? We are trying to solve the problem of trust, but what is blockchain and how does it solve the problem of trust? Okay. So again, getting back to the same question, a transaction between Aditya and me, or Manu and me, or some like between Rajesh and me. Suppose I lend 10 rupees to Manu, for example. Okay. Now what happens is, this transaction between Manu and me of 10 rupees, because it's not happened in the banking channel, is just between Manu and me. Tomorrow, if Manu denies that I had given him 10 rupees, there's nothing that I can do. Okay. But what if, when I did this transaction, Aditya as well as Rajesh were also witness? So now tomorrow, if Manu tries to deny the transaction, Aditya as well as Rajesh can come and say that Manu is lying. Pranav did give 10 rupees to Manu. So just by adding two witnesses like Aditya and Rajesh to the transaction, the trust on the transaction has become more, because now there are two witnesses. So suppose we are in a classroom and there are 50 students in the classroom. Now, if I do something, a transaction, and all the 50 students note down that transaction in their copy. Now, even if Manu tries and bribe Rajesh and Aditya to talk in his favor, then also there are other students in the class who would say that no, all three, Aditya, Rajesh and Manu, are lying, because we have a record of this transaction. So it would be very difficult for Manu to convince 50% of the class and get them to lie, because we have a large number, 50 people. It is easy for Manu to convince Aditya and Rajesh and get them on his side, but it will be very difficult for him to convince 50 students. So what blockchain does is, for every transaction that happens, it tries to store a copy of that transaction across millions of computers across the world. And even if some computers try to manipulate the transaction, other computers would be able to say that, okay, these computers are lying, because the entire majority of the computers of the world have this copy of the transaction. That means this transaction happened. So by decentralizing the transaction records, you are bringing trust. होता क्या है, Like in case if that transaction was stored only by one computer or by one person, or one student had written in his class notebook about that transaction, then it was possible that that student could get corrupt, even if that student was the most, as in even if that student was the class president or whatever, there is a possibility that that student can get corrupt, and we cannot trust one person. So by distributing the transaction records across hundreds and thousands and millions of students, we know that it will be very difficult for anybody to manipulate the transaction across lakhs and millions of students' copies, and not everybody would get convinced to do the same I would say same manipulation. So hence there is more trust on the transaction. So what blockchain basically does is, rather than storing the records at a central body, it decentralizes everything. Centralization means if the Reserve Bank of India has the transaction record, then the Reserve Bank of India, being controlled by the government of India, in a way, the government of India needs to be trusted for those records. Even though government of India doesn't have a direct uh, influence over the RBI, but I'm just saying that in a way you're trusting the Reserve Bank of India and the banking system of the country. But what if the banking system gets corrupt? The other alternative, which is blockchain, the same transaction is now copied across millions of computers, not just in India, but in Zimbabwe, Ukraine, Russia, USA, Norway, Sweden, across zillions of these computers. Now, what happens is, even if one country gets corrupt, the other country would be able to showcase that, okay, see, this transaction happened and we have a record. That is what blockchain does. For every transaction, it creates millions and billions of records across independent computers who are running the same program, so that in case of a discrepancy, people can say that yes, this transaction happened. I hope till now you have been able to understand. If yes, maybe you could just let me know in the chat uh, as to why, by creating multiple copies of the same transaction, we are able to have more trust, right? So Arun says yes, Manish says yes, Priya says yes, Nishu says yes. So that is what blockchain does. Okay. And I would not get into mining and how blockchain creates blocks every, depending upon the kind of the blockchain, every 10 minutes and so, and records these transactions. So that is what blockchain is. It is a system, it's a ledger which records all these transactions across so many devices that it becomes very difficult for anybody to manipulate the system. Because if you manipulate some computers, others computers would say that, okay, this doesn't match with our records, and it'll be very difficult for you to manipulate majority of the computers across the world, because not every computer is speaking to you. Okay, so that is what blockchain is. Now coming a little bit towards, in fact, I'll probably take some examples. So what happens is, like there's been a popular tweet circulating these days that some people who are carrying Ukrainian credit cards, now that they have shifted from Ukraine to some other country, they fled from Ukraine because of the present Russia attacking Ukraine, their credit cards are not being accepted by other countries. Because what has happened is, because Ukraine has been attacked, their entire banking system, their entire economy is gone for a toss. Now, if you have a Ukrainian credit card and you try and spend that money in Poland or Hungary, for example, they may not accept that bank's card, because tomorrow, even if they accept that card, when they try and settle their transaction and ask money from that bank in Ukraine, it's possible that that bank doesn't even exist or it has been bombed. because there is no possibility or there is no assurance that you would be able to recover your money from that bank, a lot of other countries are not accepting Ukrainian credit cards. But they are accepting crypto money. And what is crypto? I'll get into a little bit of that also. So Bitcoin is a currency which is made on the blockchain. Because Bitcoin is a currency that is made on the blockchain, nobody has a control over Bitcoin. It's not controlled by Ukrainian government. So even if Ukrainian government goes bankrupt, then also you would be able to use your Bitcoin. Because the trust, when you buy Bitcoin, you don't place your trust on one particular government. So when you buy rupees, in the sense, when you get your salary in rupees, you have the trust in the Indian government that the Indian government would not totally become bankrupt or probably corrupt, and it will exist. Because the Indian government would exist, your money would still have some value. If you go to United States of America, you give your rupees, you would be able to exchange it in terms of dollars and buy some goods like an Apple laptop and things like that. But in case the government becomes bankrupt, then the rupees would have no value. So when you have rupees in your hands, you are trusting the Indian government, then the value of the rupees would not drastically fall, right? But when you are buying Bitcoin, then you are not trusting any government, because Bitcoin is not controlled by any government. Even if some government goes for a toss, it will still have value. The value of Bitcoin is the value of consensus. Basically, it is a value which is derived by the entire world together, by all the people who are participating in Bitcoin. So it is in a way very democratic. The entire world owns it. Okay. So this tweet was very popular that I'm not being able to use my Ukrainian credit cards in other countries, but I'm able to use my crypto, and crypto is saving my life. Otherwise, all my money was of no use, and I couldn't have been able to support myself. So, do you want to understand what is cryptocurrency or what is a Bitcoin? In case you want, you could just let me know, and then we'll move to Metaverse, because we don't want the session to be too extended. Okay, so Priya says yes. Okay, Ajay says yes. Nishu says yes. Okay, so I'll take it in short. So what is a cryptocurrency? Okay, just like any country issues currency and keeps a record of all that currency, similarly, cryptocurrency is issued on the blockchain, and blockchain keeps a record of that entire currency. Like I said in the first few minutes, that a blockchain is a record of all the transactions that happen. Similarly, what happens is a cryptocurrency, a currency issued on the blockchain, is a currency where all the records of transactions are maintained on the blockchain. That means tomorrow, when you give that currency to somebody else, a record of that transaction would be there on the blockchain. That means the entire world computers, every user would have a copy of that entire transaction list, and nobody would be able to manipulate the transaction records. And because that currency is being issued on the blockchain, it is a currency that nobody can manipulate with. Because if it was not issued on the blockchain, there is a possibility some people would have manipulated the transaction records and they would have created multiple money. Okay. In the sense, if I would have gotten 20,000 rupees, I would have probably manipulated the transaction records to showcase that I have gotten only 10,000 rupees. But because those transactions records are maintained on the blockchain, cryptocurrency issued on the blockchain basically just means that nobody can manipulate any records, and they would have their proper records on the blockchain. So that is what cryptocurrency is. In fact, Surbhi is mentioning event of demonetization would also not have happened. So demonetization happened because of a lot of reasons. Mostly people keeping a lot of black money. But I'll not compare it to the cryptocurrency example here. But how cryptocurrency helps is that you're not dependent upon any government. So what happens is, like suppose if you have to transfer your currency, like if you transfer rupees, so like my sister, she's in California, she works for Google. In case I want to transfer some money to her, I'll have to put a request to my bank that I want to transfer probably 5 lakh rupees to her in USA. The bank would then go through the RBI channel. The RBI would go to the banking channel in USA, and through the banking channel in USA, they would then go to the respective bank that my sister uses, and then the money would go to her bank. That entire process can take up to 3 to 5 days also. Like suppose when I'm transferring money to a friend in Dubai, the bank has an entire form that asks me a lot of questions. Why are you sending money? Give an invoice of the record. Why? Because they don't want Indians to be funding terrorists there or whatever. So they want every minute detail regarding the transaction as to why you are sending this money to a friend. Okay. And then it goes through the entire Indian banking channel as well as Dubai banking channels for the money to reach. Takes a lot of days, 4 or 5 days to execute a very small transaction. But when it's happening on the blockchain, I can send money to my friend in Dubai or my sister in USA in just fraction of seconds. And there is no governments in between who would ask me, why are you sending this money? Right? And that is why people have been relying so much on cryptocurrency. A lot of people say that cryptocurrency has no value. Okay. There is no underlying asset, but cryptocurrency has value because people use it for such purposes. And that is why everybody globally have come together to support cryptocurrency. And that is why it exists in the world today. Tomorrow, if there comes an alternative that solves these problems, and what problems? Problem of trust. That even if the Ukrainian government goes down, then also my currency would have value in the global world, so that I don't have to trust one particular government. If that problem is taken care of, then blockchain is not required, cryptocurrency is not required. But because you can't even trust the government, that is why you want to move to a currency which is not controlled by any government. It is controlled by the people of the world. Right? I hope I've been able to give some idea about the cryptocurrency. If yes, you could let me know. And if there are any questions, you could also let me know, right? Before we move to Metaverse. Okay, Manish, Anupama, Nishu, Karishma, Arun, Utkarsh. Fine. Cool. So those are cryptocurrencies, and every cryptocurrency has some advantage, some dynamics which are different from others. Some people are saying, Ajay is saying, what about high volatility? Yeah, volatility is there. Okay, in the sense, volatility is there because it is not a very mature market. So what happens is, between the price of dollar, United States dollar, the price doesn't fluctuate that much because it is a very mature product, and the number of people buying and selling the dollar across the world are so huge, people on the buy side as well as sell side, that the price doesn't fluctuate too much. But when it comes to these cryptocurrencies, the number of people participating in cryptocurrencies are limited across the world as compared to the number of people participating in fiat economy, the dollar economy. So that's why there are a lot of fluctuations. And because there's no underlying asset, people are not totally, I would say, sure about the exact value. And hence, because there is a discrepancy in the value in their mind, the perceived value, they keep doing buy and sell, and the transactions fluctuate. But there are some stable coins also. I'm just mentioning it, even though it's not a discussion point for this class, but I'm just mentioning there are some stable coins, like there's something called Tether, USDT. That's their short form, USDT. It's called Tether. Okay. It's a stable coin. That means its its value would not fluctuate and would almost remain equal to the US dollar. And how does the transaction remain equal to the US dollar? Because the people who have launched Tether, they have kept, suppose they have circulated 10,000 Tether in the market, they have also kept an equivalent amount of US dollars in their reserves. So the underlying asset behind the Tether always remains equal to the number of Tether available in the market for circulation. It's a little technical, so I'll not go deep into it, but I'm just saying that there are cryptocurrencies where the value of the cryptocurrency doesn't move too much here and there, and there's very less volatility. So in case the crypto markets are moving up and down, and I don't want to get too much influenced or affected by the crypto markets movement, I try and move all my crypto money to Tether or other stable coins, so that for that period at least my money doesn't move up and down, it remains stable. Okay. I can't see the name because it's saying your computer name Asus, but you're writing volatility is because it comes from lack of trust on the crypto. See, volatility is there because you don't know what value you should put to crypto. So there was a time in India, one Bitcoin was 50 lakh rupees. Now it's 30 lakh rupees or less. Okay, Udit was saying that. So because you are not sure what value you should put to one Bitcoin, some people say that one Bitcoin would become equal to 10 crore rupees. Some people say that one Bitcoin would at a later point in time just become 1 lakh rupees. Okay. Because you are not sure, people are kind of buying and selling and trying to ascertain its right value. Over a long period of time, you would reach a point where it will become more stable because people would have understood its right value. Okay, till that time there will be volatility. Okay, so okay, two questions. Manu is saying, is there an infinite supply of crypto? Second, I read somewhere that Solidity is used to write smart contract. Is that true? Yes. If yes, should we recommend computer science students to master Solidity for future employability potential? Okay, so okay, so and Pramit is asking, how can we do a transaction when banks are not supported? Okay, I'll tell you. So first question that I would answer here, Manu's question, is there an infinite supply of crypto? No. Like Bitcoin, if I talk about Bitcoin crypto, then it's 21 million in supply. 21 million Bitcoins only would be available. You would not have 22 million ever, because that is how you would get value of a product. If there is an infinite supply, then the value would become zero. Because if like if we talk about air, because we get air in unlimited supply, you are less likely to go out there and pay for air, right? Even though now some people have started selling unadulterated air from Himalayas and charging a price for it, But I'm just trying to say, if there's an abundant supply of something, you would not pay anything for it. So because Bitcoin is limited, you would pay some price to acquire it from somebody who already has it. If it was unlimited, you would just keep on taking it from the system without having to pay for it. So it's always limited. Second, Solidity is a language that is used to write smart contracts on Ethereum blockchain. There are a lot of other blockchains also, but Solidity, Ethereum is the most popular for writing smart contracts. So yes, people who want to get into blockchain development, it's a good idea for them to learn Solidity. Okay. Coming to the second, in fact, question asked by Pramit, how can we do a transaction when banks are not supported? See, what happens is, even though banks are not involved in the world of crypto, because the transactions, see, what is the purpose of a bank? The purpose of a bank is that it just maintains records. See, technically, when I transfer money to Manu in a banking transaction, essentially, I have not transferred any money to Manu. What the bank just does is it changes some transactions in my account and changes some transactions in Manu's account, writes that Manu has received this money and deducts that money from my account. So the money has not actually, it's not that some currency notes have gone from my house to Manu's house, but it's just a record that has changed. And who's maintaining that record? The bank. And we both, Manu and I, we both trust the bank that the bank would not manipulate with the records, and hence we do the transaction with that bank. And why that bank doesn't manipulate those records is because the Reserve Bank of India is putting an eye on the bank. But if some people in the Reserve Bank of India get corrupt and the bank starts manipulating those records, then the transaction that I do with Manu would not remain valid. It would get manipulated. In the world of blockchain, we can do the transaction without the banks because all the transaction records are maintained by users across the world, which can't be manipulated, because the moment a transaction record would be manipulated by one person, after few minutes the transactions across the world would get reconciled and everybody would say that, okay, this person has manipulated because we don't have this record, we have something else, and hence that record, the manipulation would be eliminated from the system, and the majority of the records, the copy which is maintained by the majority of the people, would win, right? So again, without getting too much into details, let's move on to the metaverse part. So again, there's some questions. Regulating the bodies and working of blockchain. Okay, that's a very relevant question. Okay, who is maintaining and regulating the bodies and working of blockchain? So there is see, there are different blockchains that exist. There's a blockchain that exists for Bitcoin. Okay, there's a anonymous guy that people now know him by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto, who created the first Bitcoin blockchain. And when you ask me this question, who is maintaining the working of blockchain? So he created a computer program which is stored by a lot of users on their computers, and every 10 minutes the computer program records new transactions, and that is maintained by the people across the world. Now all the people who are keeping a record of these transactions are collectively interacting with the program to ensure that transactions are taken care of. So there is no one person. It's more like a democratic voting process. Everybody, and when I say everybody, who are participating in the blockchain, who are mining, in the blockchain. I'm not getting into technicalities. They are maintaining the blockchain, voting into the blockchain, and depending upon the voting, majority of the people win, and the blockchain is maintained that way. And nobody can interfere with the computer program, because if you change your computer program on your machine, after 10 minutes, all the machines across the world would get reconciled, and whatever is the program on majority of the computer systems, that would come into effect. So even if you manipulate the computer program on your machine, the majority would win, and you would not be able to manipulate blockchain that way, because to manipulate the blockchain, you have to manipulate 51% of the programs across the world, and you would not be able to do that because you are not in touch with all those people who are maintaining a record of that program. So again, without getting too much into technicalities, I'll move on to the metaverse. Okay. So what is metaverse? Okay. And why is there a relation between metaverse and blockchain? Okay. So I'll try and explain what metaverse is. What has happened is, there was a time when internet became popular. When internet became popular, everything that you do in the physical world, you started doing that in the internet world. So like when you were having chattings with your friends in the real world, now you started having chatting with your friends in the virtual world. Okay. You started shopping on the virtual world. In the sense, when I say virtual world, I said you started shopping on the Amazon and Flipkarts of the world in the two-dimensional field, wherein what you did was you were looking at the internet. So first was the phase when you were in the physical world. Second phase was the phase when you started looking at a screen and you started interacting with the screen. You started doing shopping on the screen, started chatting with friends on the screen. You started doing everything on the screen, started doing web searches and things like that. The third aspect is the metaverse, where rather than interacting with a screen, where you're looking at the screen, you would become part of the internet. When I say you would become part of the internet, metaverse is nothing but a virtual world, a three-dimensional world, which has been created so that you could become a part of it and do everything that you do in the physical world in the virtual world. I hope you're getting some sense. So what happens is, I'll take a basic example. I hope a lot of you have heard of VR, virtual reality. Okay. So by wearing Oculus headsets, or for that matter, other companies' headsets, virtual reality headsets, you see a 3D world where you can participate in the 3D world. You can wear, in fact, there are a lot of garments which are available with a lot of sensors, wherein by wearing a VR headset and wearing those garments, you could get inside a virtual 3D game where it would appear as if you're a part of the game. Earlier, you used to play a game by looking at the screen. Now it would appear as if you are inside a 3D animation movie where you would see people coming in front of you and all of that. So metaverse is nothing but a virtual world which is connected and supported by the internet, as well as connected and supported by the blockchain. And why blockchain is important in the metaverse, I'll tell you. So what has happened is, Vandana is asking, will it only appear or will I actually be a part of the game? Okay. This is a tricky question, because see, you would actually be part of the game. When I say you would actually be part of the game, because the other players in the game are also people who are participating in it virtually. So hota kya hai? It's like, think of a workroom in the metaverse. So Facebook has launched Facebook Work Horizons, where what you can do is you can wear a VR headset and you could actually visit an office complex. It would appear you're climbing the stairs, you're going to your workroom, and there you would see people sitting in front of you, like what is happening in our present Zoom call. I am seeing some people on the screen in boxes, and I just see their videos more like a photograph of them. But if I was doing a VR headset and doing this entire call, and in fact, someday we would do this call on a VR workroom where most of you guys would have VR headsets by then what would happen is I would not see people in boxes. I would see Aditya Sisodia sitting in front of me. I would see Manu sitting in front of me. I would see Devendra sitting in front of me. And if Devendra moves his hand like this, the animation, the avatar, as they call it in the virtual world, of Devendra would also move the hand like this. So I would be able to visualize myself sitting in a room where other people are also sitting, and any movement of hand by any person would be visible to the other person. My facial expressions in the real world would be totally imitated by the avatar sitting in the virtual world. So maybe what we can do is maybe we can show a very small 1 minute video or so, wherein you can see how people in the metaverse are sitting in a workroom and interacting with each other. So what are the applications of such a thing? The applications. So Shreya has asked this question, how it will help in our life. Okay. See, I'll take an example and I'll probably open up a PPT wherein we have put some slides. Shreya is saying it's like living in imagination. It's not living in imagination, because whatever you see or see across is been created and it's actually real, even though you're looking at an animation version, but it's not imagination. You are actually interacting with people. You are actually living in the virtual world. So a particular application, in fact, the India head of Twitter earlier, this guy has started something called Metaversity. We'll show some video of that also, wherein you could get educated in the virtual world. So rather than going to an actual school, attending a classroom where you can see your friends, you would wear a headset and you would feel you are sitting in an actual classroom where you could see other students and a teacher teaching. What are the advantages? The advantages are that even a student in tier 3 town, as long as they have the internet, they can wear a headset and participate and be in a very amazing classroom, which probably he could not have gone to if he were not in a top tier 1 town. So for example, Harvard University can have virtual classrooms where you could wear a headset and participate and come into that classroom without having to visit Harvard in USA, right? So these kind of things would happen. Let me just open a PPT and let's try and take some examples and share some idea of what metaverse is. Before I do that, let me just maybe share what Facebook has revealed about metaverse. So I'm sure everybody is aware that Facebook has changed their name to Meta, META. Okay, because they plan to get into metaverse in a big way, and that's why they've changed the focus of the company from Facebook, which is their product. Their product is Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp. They've changed their focus from Facebook to plans of getting into the metaverse. Okay, so let me just share my screen and play this video. Let me know if you can hear.
Apps and their brands, they're not changing either. And we are still the company.
Are you able to hear the voice in the video? Okay. So let me just play this small video and you'll get to know what Facebook is talking about related to the metaverse.
Meta. Our mission remains the same. It's still about bringing people together. Our apps and their brands, they're not changing either. And we are still the company that designs technology around people. Hey, and welcome to Connect. Today, we're going to talk about the metaverse, starting with the most important experience of all, connecting with people. Imagine you put on your glasses or headset and you're instantly in your home space. It has parts of your physical home recreated virtually. It has things that are only possible virtually. And it has an incredibly inspiring view of whatever you find most beautiful.
Hey, are you coming?
Yeah, just got to find something to wear.
So this is the virtual view of the home environment that you can create in the metaverse, and you can select your own avatar. Like Mark Zuckerberg is creating this virtual man, and that virtual man would participate in place of him in the metaverse.
All right, perfect. Oh, hey, Mark. Hey, what's going on?
Hi. What's up, Mark?
Whoa, we're floating in space. Huh? Who made this place? It's awesome.
Right? It's from the creator. I met in LA.
This place is amazing. Boss, is that you? Of course it's me. You know I had to be the robot, man. I thought I was supposed to be the robot.
I knew you were bluffing.
Hey, wait. Where is Naomi? Let's call her.
Naomi.
Hey, should we deal you in?
Sorry, I'm running late, but you've got to see what we're checking out. There's an artist going around Soho hiding AR pieces for people to find.
Street art. That's cool. Awesome.
Oh, I love the movement.
Wait, it's disappeared.
This is amazing. Hold on. I'll tip the artist and they'll extend it.
Privacy and safety need to be built into the metaverse from day one. You'll get to decide when you want to be with other people, when you want to block someone from appearing in your space, or when you want to take a break and teleport to a private bubble to be alone. You're going to be able to bring things from the physical world into the metaverse. Almost any type of media that can be represented digitally, photos, videos, art, music, movies, books, games, you name it. And lots of things that are physical today, like screens, will just be able to be holograms in the future. You won't need a physical TV. It'll just be a $1 hologram from some high school kid halfway across the world. And you'll be able to take your items and project them into the physical world as holograms in augmented reality too. One part of this is Horizon Home, which is our early vision for a home space in the metaverse. Horizon Home is the first thing that you'll see when you put on your Quest headset. Today, there are already a bunch of options to choose from, and in the future, anyone will be able to create one. We've just called it home until now because it's been missing something very important: people. Soon, we're going to be introducing a social version of home, where you can invite your friends to join you as avatars. You'll be able to hang out, watch videos together, and jump into apps together. Then there is Horizon Worlds, which is where you can build worlds and jump into them with people. Horizon is designed to make it possible for everyone to create. And we're already seeing people build some really interesting experiences, from creating new games together to throwing surprise parties in VR that family and friends around the world can join. Over the last year and a half, a lot of us who work in offices have gone remote. And while I miss seeing the people I work with, I think remote work is here to stay for a lot of people. So we're going to need better tools to work together, Let's take a look at what working in the metaverse will be like. Imagine if you could be at the office without the commute. You would still have that sense of presence, shared physical space, those chance interactions that make your day all accessible from anywhere. Now imagine that you have your perfect work setup and you can actually do more than you could in your regular work setup. And on top of all that, you can keep wearing your favorite sweatpants. And as we focused more on work, and frankly, as we've heard your feedback more broadly, we're working on making it so you can log into Quest with an account other than your personal Facebook account. We're starting to test support for work accounts soon, and we're working on making a broader shift here within the next year. I know this is a big deal for a lot of people. Not everyone wants.
So this was just to give a basic idea as to what metaverse is. I hope you were able to see and get some idea as to what Zuckerberg is talking about, as to what he's planning to create. So Krishma is saying augmented reality combining physical and digital world. Yes. So when we talk about metaverse is a combination of virtual reality. It's a combination of virtual reality with augmented reality, mixed reality. It's a combination of all such possibilities. Any idea what's the difference between augmented reality and virtual reality? Would anybody want to answer this question? What's the difference between augmented reality and virtual reality? Anyone?
Augmented reality is virtual reality is just the subject, and augmented reality, I think the space is also involved in the thing, if I'm not wrong. Like,
so
you can
I didn't exactly understand what you wanted to say, but see, I'll tell you. Virtual reality is when you wear headsets and all that you see is animation. Okay. When you wear VR headsets, all that you see inside is a virtual world which has been created by cartoon characters and animation. So you would see a Taj Mahal, but Taj Mahal is not in front of you. It's a Taj Mahal created by animation. But in case of augmented reality, what you see in front of you is real, but it gets augmented in the sense it gets added by a few things. So what happens in case of an augmented reality? I'll give you an example. There are some augmented reality apps. So what those apps would do is, on your phone, you could click on some augmented reality apps and you should face your camera of the phone towards some monuments like Qutub Minar. Suppose you go to Delhi and you face your phone towards Qutub Minar and the video camera part. So now through the phone, you would see the Qutub Minar in the camera, but along with that, there will be some pop-ups that would appear next to Qutub Minar that would talk about the history of Qutub Minar. Now what's happening is you are seeing the Qutub Minar through the phone video camera. So you are seeing what is actually there, but that has been augmented by some additional text that is coming talking about the Qutub Minar. So what is augmented reality? Basically, in the world tomorrow, you can wear some glasses that will allow you to see the actual world. But along with that, while you are moving, it will also show you some digital pop-ups that would give you information about that world. So tomorrow, going forward, you could have some glasses which are called AR glasses, augmented reality glasses. And suppose wearing those glasses, you start taking a walk in a museum. So you can see the museum and the paintings like, suppose you are going to Louvre Museum in Paris. when you go next to Mona Lisa, you would be able to see Mona Lisa painting. But apart from the actual painting, some pop-ups would come in the screen that you're now seeing through your glasses, and it will talk about the history of Mona Lisa, which is not there in the actual world, but it is coming as augmented reality. So that is augmented reality. Whereas in the case of virtual reality, VR headsets, all that you see is total animation, virtual world. It's not connected with the real world. So that is the difference between augmented. So Microsoft is working on HoloLens. That is also a lot of augmented reality. In fact, Google had once launched Google Glasses. That was also a lot of augmented reality, right? So that's the difference between virtual and augmented. In fact, metaverse is a combination of virtual as well as augmented. So tomorrow, I'll just give you an example. What would happen is you would have your specs in a manner that on your work table, you don't have a computer, but you'll be able to do some gestures of the hand and it'll create a digital computer in the space. You'll be able to type on it like this and you'll be able to see the screen, because the screen is being reflected by your lenses. It is not there in the actual world. So you see your rest of the room, but just the computer screen has been augmented there. Okay. So a lot of applications are there. In fact, I would invite everybody to go to some of these in case you have a VR good. In case you don't have a VR headset, you could go to some VR parlors which are available in most of the malls to experience virtual reality. In fact, through VR headsets, you could be traveling in the lanes of Paris and you would actually feel that you are there, because even though it's virtual world, but you would actually experience the market. The way you turn here, you would see the market this side. If you turn that side, you would see the market that side. So that is what a lot of virtual world would be. Now coming to Shreya is saying, I think someone who wears the glasses will feel excited every time than others. So if you, in the augmented reality, you are wearing those glasses, it will keep showing you things that are not there, but it just adds a lot of augmented reality, which is not there. Okay. So let me just share this PPT and let's see some use cases. So Amin is saying recently a couple got married on Metaverse. Yes. So it's like hosting a reception on the Metaverse where you invite everybody's avatars and everybody has to wear a VR headset to participate, and everybody would feel that they are there. So there are a lot of, so if you wear Oculus, there are VR chats where you can come and interact with other people. So maybe we'll just showcase some videos that show some VR chats also.
And Pranav, I think there was this Netflix show. One was Black Mirror. Definitely, it has 2-3 episodes. How the VR world is in the Black Mirror. I don't exactly remember this episode, but there was some very fascinating. The entire gaming happened inside. And then I remember there's also one Netflix episode. I'm not sure it's called Unleashed, which was about some COVID periods. Where they show that how COVID gets extended and that two people meet in a VR world. Do you remember that episode? We're watching it where two people are meeting inside a VR world, and then once they met there, they go on a dating in a restaurant. They meet there, they talk there, they like each other, and they meet further in a physical world.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, if you wear Oculus and install Netflix on your Oculus app, then what happens is when you play Netflix using the VR headset, then it doesn't appear as if you're watching Netflix on a TV. It appears you're sitting in a cinema hall. Okay. And you're watching the movie in a cinema hall. So just by wearing a VR headset, you get an experience of watching the same episode in a very big screen. Because when you wear a VR headset, the Netflix app is designed in a manner that it appears that you are sitting in a very big cinema hall with a very big screen in front of you, and you're watching it on that screen. So if you have to experience it, do experience it, right? Yeah. Okay, so just sharing this PPT with you. So this is the knowledge meetup that we're talking about. So Metaverse is a network of 3D virtual worlds with social connections. Okay. I want to add the missing link here, why blockchain is important in the Metaverse. Okay. Blockchain, like I said, creates an authenticated record of everything. So people have started buying properties on the Metaverse. So what is Metaverse? It's a animated world. And in the animated world, you could tomorrow say that this particular piece of land is mine. And by linking Metaverse to the blockchain, you can tomorrow sell that particular piece of land, and a transaction would be made on the blockchain saying that, okay, Pranav Bhatia owns this piece of land in the Metaverse. And now nobody can change that transaction because it's on the blockchain. In the existence of that entire animation, till the time that animation exists in the world, I would always be the owner of that land. So what is happening is, I don't know if you're aware, maybe you could tell your students to look at this. A lot of NFT metaverse related gaming has come into the picture. So what you do is, these are games to earn. And this is again another career. I know a lot of people who are very young students making few lakhs per month. And what they are doing is, they are participating and playing games in the metaverse. So you wear a VR headset, you get inside a game, you start playing the game. Now within the game, there are assets. So like, it's a game about a war. So there'll be a ship in the game. That ship would be actually owned by some real person in the world. If you have to use that ship, you'll have to pay a ticket, and that ticket's money would go to the person who actually owns that ship in the game. I hope you are able to understand. So it's a animated world. Within the animated world, using the blockchain, they have sold certain animation objects to people in the real world. Like, I can buy a house in the game, and that house would be mentioned as sold to me in the blockchain. And now if someone is participating and playing the game, because of the rules of the game, the person would now need to stay at a house before proceeding to the next round. So now he would put a request to me to stay in my virtual house, and I'll charge him rent in the real world, so that in the game he can stay in my house. I hope that's making sense.
Yeah, so that reminds me, Pranav, of the business or Vepari we used to play, where we would buy towns in a card. You know, now instead of buying towns in cards, we will buy some 3D NFTs, right? Inside a 3D world, not a board game, right?
Yes. So I know someone who bought some fishes, okay, in the game, and he was earning, I think, 1 point some lakh per month, because he was lending his fishes to somebody else in the game who are using those fishes for something else. So rather than buying those fishes, they were lending it from him because they didn't want to spend that much money. Things like that, right? So a lot of these applications would come in, but it's a network of virtual world. And why blockchain is important is because it gives you the record of who owns what. At this juncture, I'll clear a doubt and a question that a lot of people have in their mind is, what is NFT? Okay. A lot of people talk about NFTs, and students are also talking about NFTs. Any idea anybody would want to answer that? What is an NFT? Any idea?
Abbreviation of non-fungible token, right?
It's what?
It's an abbreviation of non-fungible token.
Any idea what is a non-fungible token? As in, what do you mean by non-fungible?
I don't really mean what that means.
Okay. Okay. So I'll talk about what is fungibility before we explain what is NFT.
Can I try?
Yeah, sure.
Can I try?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so NFT, like the other person said, stands for non-fungible token, and that describes a situation in the website or in the internet where a picture or any digital asset cannot be downloaded the way it is right now, because with the current internet now, Web 2, you can always download any picture on the internet as you want. But if it's a non-fungible token, it means it cannot be downloaded across multiple devices except by the permission of the creator of that digital asset.
Okay. So you're close, but that's not totally correct. As in, an NFT can be downloaded, and it can have multiple copies. Okay. But I'll tell you what's the difference. NFT basically means that there is only one unique owner. There can be multiple copies of, suppose there's a digital art, it's a picture, it's a digital picture. A lot of people from the internet can make copies of that digital picture. But who is the owner? Real owner, because you also have that picture on your computer. I also made a copy of that picture. But who owns that picture, digital art, is written in the blockchain, and that thing being written in the blockchain, that this person is the owner, makes it an NFT. I'll tell you first what is the difference between fungible and non-fungible. Okay. So fungible is something that can be, like Udit says, can be replaced. Okay. Non-fungible is something that cannot be replaced. So like money, or for that matter, goods like wheat. Wheat, if you have 2 kgs of wheat, if someone else from some other farm gets 2 kgs of wheat, these things are replaceable, almost the same. So you could give 2 kgs of wheat and take his 2 kgs of wheat, because what you are getting by giving your wheat is almost similar. For that matter, if you have 100 rupees note, 100 rupees note is fungible. You could replace it by somebody else giving you a 100 rupee note. It's replaceable. Fungible is replaceable. Non-fungible is it cannot be replaced because only one person is the owner. Okay. So any digital photograph, for example, or for that matter, a video, or for that matter, any digital asset, the moment there is a record placed for this on the blockchain that this person is the owner. Okay. Surbhi Devra is the owner of this photograph. For that example, on the screen, we have this photograph right now. So if we mint this photograph on the NFT marketplace and say that Surbhi Devra created this photograph, in fact, she would not be able to mint it because this is not created by her. But if this was created by her and she uploads it on the marketplace and mints it, then it would be mentioned in the blockchain record that this photograph is owned by Surbhi Devra. So if anybody wants to use this photograph, they would first need to pay money to Surbhi Devra legally, and then they'll be able to use this photograph. So that would become, this would then become an NFT, because the information about the ownership of this photograph is mentioned on the blockchain. So you have a lot of photographs on the internet, but those are not NFTs because on the blockchain, it's not mentioned who owns this photograph. But the moment for a particular photograph, there is a record mentioned on the blockchain with the copy of the photograph, that this photograph is owned by XYZ person, it becomes an NFT. Because then nobody can change the blockchain and change the owner unless through the blockchain itself, the NFT gets sold to the new owner and the new owner's name gets registered in place of the original owner. So it is said non-fungible because only one copy of the transaction, only one copy of the digital art is registered in the name of an owner. The other copies are worthless. Only when you sell that one copy to the new owner, that name would get transferred to the new owner. So only one copy with the owner name is mentioned on the blockchain. I hope I'm making some sense. Right? If it's making sense, you could let me know. That's the non-fungible token. So basically in layman terms, rather than getting it technical, any digital art which mentions an owner on the blockchain becomes an NFT. Okay. Okay. So Arun says yes, Vanna says yes, Udit says yes. Okay. So without getting into NFT too much, let's just go over the slides one more. Okay. Samina says very much clear. Okay. This guy almost got mugged in the metaverse. So what happens is, in the metaverse, because you are in a virtual world, right? You could get harassed also because you are not dealing with the real people. So like students are getting bullied in the college world, when you are in your metaverse, you could get bullied by other people because they would say that, okay, tell me your name, where you from, and a lot of those things. So it's just like experiencing the real world. And when we talk, yeah.
Pranav, I also came across that with devices, VR devices, the sensors you talked about, one would have these sensors put up in their bodies. And if you're playing something or having a fitness thing or the mugging exercise, you feel the same pressure at the points of your physical part also. Is this true? Do we have such devices along with the VR set?
Yeah. So there are some, I would say, some jackets as well as some entire VR, AR headset suits, right? These are garments which you can probably wear when you're playing a VR game. Now, what would happen is, like, suppose in the virtual world, somebody touches you here. When I say in the virtual world, okay, let me put the spotlight here. Okay, so suppose somebody touches you here in the virtual world, then in the real world, you would feel somebody has touched you here. And how does that happen? Because you are wearing a complete bodysuit which has a lot of sensors. So in the virtual world, when the bodysuit gets a signal that somebody has touched you here, the bodysuit would put some pressure here inside through a lot of sensors in the bodysuit, that you would feel that, okay, somebody has touched you. So if somebody hugs you in the VR world, the bodysuit would become more compressed and you'll feel that you have been hugged. So that is how people are trying to create or bridge the gap between the virtual and the physical world.
And if somebody is getting mugged, they will feel actually mugging also. Is cool.
Yeah.
So Pranav, there's a question by Priya. She has been repeatedly asking.
Sure.
And then felt like, oh, I also want to know this. Could you be at two places inside Metaverse? Could you be traveling as well as giving presentations?
See, depends. Ideally, you would be at one place, because if you are moving your hand like this, then at wherever you are, your hand would move like this. So you could be at two places because your digital version can be replicated. But at both the places, if you move your hand like this, your hand would move in both the places like that. So it's very difficult to say that, okay, you are giving a presentation at one place and playing golf at the other place. Because if you're playing golf, then at the presentation part also you'll be playing golf. Because the way you are moving your hands and the body, and your hands and bodies are connected to your mind. So it's very difficult for you to be making a presentation at one place and playing golf at the other. You could have multiple versions of you, but whatever you are doing would be replicated across all places. Right?
Got it.
Okay. So the evolution of game. So it's just a good diagram to showcase that people moved from stones to checkers to board games to video games to PC games to gaming consoles to mobile games to tablet games to VR games and to AR games. Okay. So again, a small video.
I think you showed this is the same video.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I think yeah.
It was slightly different, but it's fine because it's almost people interacting in the metaverse. How would that happen? In fact, this is another new venture which has been started called the Meta University. Recently raised money. We'll talk about Meta University also, but let me just probably share something again, a YouTube video and a very small part of it for you to understand how people are experiencing the metaverse.
Now, the best way to understand the
Microsoft and more. I set a cubes in the air.
Okay, so let me just share this. So this is some Wall Street Journal reporter who decided to participate in the metaverse, and for 24 hours she was in the metaverse. So her experience, I'll just probably skip parts and take you to some of the most important ones. So maybe you can have a look as to what the metaverse is like.
Arrow direction and match the color. That was too soon. Wait for the beat. Wrong direction. Wrong direction. She's very.
So this is playing a game in the metaverse. In fact, I have this game on Oculus also. It's called Beat Saber. So you could do physical exercises by playing this game. So you have handhelds in both your hands, and there are these blocks coming your way. You have to strike those blocks, and you have to bend down so that it doesn't hit your head, right? In the metaverse. And while doing that, your whole body gets exercised. So there are a lot of fitness based VR games wherein you are wearing the headset and holding those handhelds. And when you play that game, you get totally exercised, because at the end of the day, you are trying to move your body while playing the game and you get exercised. Select your avatar, the kind of hair you want. You create a cartoon character for yourself and enter a virtual space. Like she's entered this camp video. I just wanted to give you an idea as to what's happening in the metaverse, right? So similarly, there's
for the first time, I really found that no leg thing interesting, and you can feel that, oh my God, how I'm walking without legs, and suddenly I felt like, oh my God, I'm so behind in technology. I'm still in like Web 1.0 and Web 2.0. I mean, it's time to move on. I had that kind of feeling.
So one is saying that it could be a blessing for lonely people, for sure. Yes. So in fact, there's a similar video of somebody teaching in the metaverse. It's a Meta University. So you could get into a classroom where the teacher comes, teaches on different topics. You could attend those classrooms, sit with your friends, chit chat with them. Right? It would appear as if you're actually there in the classroom talking to your friends, right? So this is basically what metaverse is, and what Metaversity is trying to do. They are building the metaverse. In fact, some people are using this just for fun. Some people are using VR headsets on cows so that they could feel that they are in fields, and they are in green fields and they could produce more milk. right? This guy found a new girl in the metaverse.
This means a lot more about metaverse, the cow thing.
Clubbing in the metaverse. McDonald's is entering the metaverse. So when you say that McDonald's is entering the metaverse, would people be having virtual burgers? Not exactly. So what happens is basically you go into a McDonald's in the metaverse, you select your burger, and you pay for it in the metaverse. The burger would get delivered at your place, and then you can have your real burger, right? But then in the virtual world, you would also feel that you're going inside a McDonald's, making a purchase, and all of that, right? So a lot of shopping experiences have been created like that. So when you shop on Amazon, it doesn't feel that you are in a shopping complex. It feels you're just looking at a screen. But in the metaverse, when you do shopping, it would feel you are actually there in a shopping complex. You could see mannequins wearing dresses. You could in fact try on some dresses on your avatar also, right? So that is what AR world and VR world is about. That's what the metaverse is. And rather than getting into too much technicals, that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. If there are questions, happy to take those up, and happy to chit chat and interact with most of you guys, right? So that's it from my side. Surbi, if you want to add something.
Thanks, Pranav. For me, highlight was that how the office interactions could happen sitting together. Because sitting on Zoom and doing these office meetings in the 2D video dimension has gotten like too much for all of us, and especially a meetup like this. Imagine a meetup like this could happen with avatars where we are sitting and doing it. I think, and I also think the e-commerce would change a lot. Totally. I mean, e-commerce and especially fashion, branding, all that stuff would like blown proportionally off. Nobody will just go and look at images anymore to buy, I think. And they will just do it through metaverse application. And the education, I think distance education will totally convert into this. I think metaverse university, which you talked about. So those were my takeaways.
Thanks, guys. And Priya is saying that medicine, you could probably be doing some medicine learning. And yes, you could learn surgery by doing it on virtual people rather than actually doing it on real people, right?
Yeah, that's a good use case.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks, Pranav. Anything you want to? We can take two quick questions because I promised till 1:30 and have a very interesting giveaway to be sharing, and also some interesting way all of you can practice your career guidance practices in business. So let's take two questions. Pranav, any two questions?
So there's this question which says that how would the metaverse help people in the rural income areas, because metaverse is still very expensive. Very valid question. In fact, see, what would happen is there could be people who would create these, just like in the earlier times you had cyber cafes, right? There would be some people who would buy computers, and they would charge you some money to come and visit their shop and work on the internet. Similarly, even if you yourself cannot buy these headsets in rural areas, there could be some business owners who would create VR parlors where they would have a lot of VR headsets, and local students in that area could come and pay them some minimal amount to work on the VR headset for 1 hour, for example, and attend their lectures. And it could be sponsored by the government also, that students could be given VR headsets for 1 hour every day for them to participate in such activities. So it's not necessary that you need to buy everything yourself. That day would also come when VR headset becomes really cheap. But before that, you could go to a parlor, wear those VR headsets and things like that.
I think your PCO and cafe example is perfect example. Right. Next question, Pranav. We have to take next question. By the way, what was the game which that journalist was playing? Maybe I'll try to play that today. Send you guys my video. Yeah, I think I have those joysticks and stuff lying with me. Maybe I'll try to do it. And guys who are around Delhi, please come over. Samina, we should do this together. We should try it together, kind of a thing. Yeah.
Beat Saber.
Beat Saber, right? I'll try that today. Yeah. One more question, Pranav.
Right. You tell me which one should I take?
Anything which you want to. Last question. And the other questions can be taken offline. Yeah.
How can we talk about?
Hi.
Huh?
I was saying hi to Vinay. Yeah.
So Vandana is asking, how can we initiate this concept in career talks and multiple careers ahead in Metaverse? You know, Metaverse would offer a lot of opportunity. A lot of people can become these Metaverse designers. There'll be a lot of opportunity for spatial engineers and people who are good at animation and coding in the Metaverse, because Facebook, like when they are creating the Metaverse, they would want a lot of engineers to build these animation and virtual worlds, right? So a lot of careers in that. There are a lot of careers related to NFT gaming. People who are good at gaming, they could become NFT gamers, because there are a lot of these gamings which are coming, which would say that game to earn. Basically, it's like you would play a game, and while playing that game, you would earn money, because it's now linked to blockchain. You could earn crypto money while playing those games. So a lot of NFT gamers can make a lot of money. In fact, I've seen a lot of my friends who were earlier doing small designing work. Okay, people who are doing small designing work, now they are making a lot of money just by doing some small designs and selling it as an NFT. So small NFTs, they are selling it for 2 lakh rupees, 3 lakh rupees. In fact, let me just probably share one of the NFT that a friend made. Let me just open and we'll end with this. I'll just open my Facebook. So let me share this screen with you. Can you see this screen?
Yes.
So she's a friend. Earlier she was struggling with selling her art and not making much money, but now she's making such small designs. So can you see this animation? There's this small girl inside a jar with the, I don't know, you call it a dinosaur or whatever, right? So now, any idea this small animation, how much she would be getting for this animation? Such small animation she is selling for 2 lakh, 3 lakh rupees in the NFT world.
But important thing is to remember the amount is being received in crypto.
Yes.
Not in rupees or dollars.
So like this is another jar that she created. And she's doing these auctions. So I'm just giving you an example. So these are the basic NFTs, right? So you can see total sales 2 ETH for some of the jars, right? So ETH to INR, 1 ETH is 2 lakh rupees, right? And these are small animations. If you ask graphic designer to create such animations, that graphic designer would just charge 10,000 rupees maximum for such an animation, but selling it for 2 lakh rupees, 3 lakh rupees. It's amazing in the NFT world, right? So a lot of graphic designers could.
Pranav, you should not show all this to us. We all are feeling that we are in wrong career option. Genuinely.
Yeah. So that's where the NFT world and the metaverse and everything is getting into the play. So someone would now say that, okay, I am the owner of this animation, and nobody can change that because it's recorded in the across the world. Earlier, all these things were digital art, and nobody could say that I am the owner. They could say that I've created it, but what's the proof? Now the proof is on the blockchain. That is why it's become more valuable. Now you could say that, okay, I am the owner of, and I don't know, have you heard of those bored pandas and apes?
Yes.
Bored apes and small images being sold for millions of dollars.
Because people don't know what to do with it. So let's buy these NFTs.
Yeah.
All right, that's amazing. I would request everybody to reach out to Pranav and take a session, block his calendar, block his time. Vandana, if you want your school kids to speak about all this, block his calendar. Let's get more stuff. But I remember when Pranav showed me this, that, this friend of his sold this in so much crypto. I started looking for what all my digital images can I convert into NFT. And then I went and got my OpenSea account. OpenSea is something where you can, sell NFTs. But yeah, my excitement died down. I created an OpenSea account. I've still not uploaded anything. Maybe I'll try to share it with all of you. And with this, Pranav, thanks a ton. All your question which has not been resolved, just put it in the group or try to reach out. We'll try to answer. But not taking much of your Sunday, I have to, this was something super important. I'm super thrilled to even announce and share is one of our very super popular just a minute, I think unpinned. Okay. So yes, this is something super important, something I'm super thrilled. I've been working from last 2 years on this. And finally, I'm in a position to announce we have 14 different psychometric assessments for all of you, starting from grade 1 to college and professional. That means today you can go ahead and give the psychometric assessment, just not to 10th grader for stream selection, just not to 11th grader or 12th grader, but you can go ahead, give this psychometric test even to grade 1 to 3, grade 4, grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, grade 12, college and professional. The beautiful thing is over the time we realized, and this is something which I have been articulating a lot, that it's not academic scores which really makes career. It's the other things which matters. And in the process, yes, psychometric career tests were helping us give the direction. But when students and parents and counselors started coming and asking, do we have something more which we can figure out in early days and tell that what are the right things they can do? Then yes, I was like, yes, we keep saying that academic skills don't matter anymore. It's your ability to learn, it's your skills which matters. And that gave rise to the entire conversation around 21st century life skills, which is a framework defined by WHO and which talks about cognitive skills, interpersonal skills, intrapersonal skills, and digital skills, which is super important to be successful in this century. Yes, cognitive skills, which consist of curiosity, critical thinking, problem solving, decision making. Interpersonal skill, which stands for communication, adaptability, leadership, collaboration. Digital, we all know it's so important. We have been talking about metaverse and so. which talks about internet skills, communication technology, information technology, media literacy, and intrapersonal skills, persistence, initiative, resilience, and empathy. If an individual has these skills, irrespective of the academic scores, irrespective of any academic skills, the person would sail through and do amazing in life. We said, how about let's quantify it? Let's put this framework by World Economic Forum and WHO in a form of assessment so that we career counselors have more tangibility, more discussions, more activities to be shared. So now, right from first grade onwards to college and professional students, you will get access to these assessments. The report would look something like this, which will tell individual scores grade-wise on cognitive, digital, interpersonal, and intrapersonal. That means we will be in position to give activities, will be in position to recommend interventions, will be in position to give different guidance to these students. So if this example I see, interpersonal has a scope of improvement, right? And cognitive looks super good. This explains what is this learning skill which I talked about, and tells you, what are these interpersonal skills, intrapersonal skills, which parents and students can look and then they can enroll into different programs. So a lot of you come and ask, should I advise coding to this kid? Should I advise this program to this kid? This report would really help, where one can see, okay, what's an individual's decision activity, decisions percentage, problem solving, critical solving, curiosity, what it means, all of it, if I see internet skill is low, that means one student has to be focused, given activities assignment accordingly. You will get this understanding, super simple, again, for all you counselors to understand this, made it easy to understand with description, descriptive, and most importantly, with quantification. This quantification given. So in this report, for example, if a report is there in front of you, clearly you understand, I can suggest activities related to leadership to this candidate, and maybe, Vandana might recommend doing some school workshops, things like that, to motivate this child, to improve this child. Now, beautiful thing is, we have also done work for recommending some activities on the basis of score towards the end. So if I think this might be for some, so we are recommending towards the end some 5, 7, 10 activities which a student can do. You can always give more activities, but report also will end up recommending some activities to the student, a list of 7, 10 activities. Now, as a career coach, as a career counselor, and as a career guide, you can ask your candidates to keep coming back on the basis of the recommendations given and come and report it back to you. So this was something I really, really wanted to give it to all of you. And all of you who have attended this would have 20 free coupon codes, 20 free license to these assessments. Go give it out, use it, sell it, complimentary giveaways, whatever ways you want to do it. So this was something I really, really wanted to announce, share. This is a new launch, new product which we have been working from last 2 years, and pretty excited that we have got this 14 assessments up, live, and working. This also, the need came from the fact many of the counselors started talking about how do we generate more business. Many of the counselors started struggling also. I can say even the word struggling, because amount of effort you put in versus the amount you bring in back. So they all came. We did a lot of focus group. We reached out a couple of them, and they said, yes, we have families coming to us. We have schools in our captivity. We have some trusted network, but they have kids from variety of age group, and we don't have lot of things to offer to them. Now you can offer even people who are not looking for career guidance. But every single individual is looking for uplifting, developing their individuality, developing their personality. And this 21st century skill assessment will really, really help you in increasing your base, in increasing your clientele, and making sure your clientele comes back. Because this is not like where parents will end up saying, engineering choose कर लिया है, अब कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है career guidance की. So if you're a coaching center, go out full blown. If you're an individual teacher, go out full blown. If you're an individual counselor, go out full blown. Because now your WhatsApp group communities, now your email list, now your clientele has expanded. Today, you can give a guidance session to even a next door neighbor whose kid is in second standard, and that would help you build a rapport in long term, because you will have more touch points with them, you will have more people speaking about you. So and I would love to, all of you, by tomorrow you will have your 20 coupon codes. You can use the way you used to use career test. Use it. Let us know how you're liking it. Do you see this is a wonderful opportunity to expand? And let us know. We will love to integrate it on your website or use it on Career Guide. But you will have your 20 coupon codes in your inbox by tomorrow. Comments, please. Manu, this opens a lot of market. Absolutely. This would open a lot of market. Arun, yes, designing these assessments are a lot of effort. When you come up with new ideas, I'm like, no, not now. Right. Yeah. Anybody, any comments? Could you also please share a sample report? Yes. Let me share the sample report. Nishu, are you on call? We will share a couple of them on the WhatsApp group. Amin, if you are around, do share what your thoughts are.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we'll share these sample reports.
This is really, really good. I'm so happy to see, really happy to see that, you started from the grade one. Because I always feel there is something that we should start working from this age of, 5 years, 6 years. And I'm really happy that this has come through. And yeah, definitely really excited, especially because parents will ask for these things. And if you see the market also, the spending that the parents do in this age group is very, very heavy. Okay, because I've seen how, whether it is memory training or study skills training, of course, we have to genuinely offer them the package and tell them, what is important to be added up. Because once they cover, if they don't know what is to be done, from there we need to have a discussion. What in case if some child is lacking the leadership skills? How do you how do you address it for a second grade? So kind of like we need to have a repository of maybe identify more links, more products. This will be the base to tell the parent. I see good scope for all of us. If we can take it to parents, and sometimes you will have to tell them that this is a need that if you don't see it now, then 10 years down the line you'll repent it more.
Yes.
So I think it's a fantastic thing. Very nice.
Thanks, Amin. And yes, this also I realized when we talked a lot and you talked about that how and in all our session we have talked about parent and student conflict, right? And that's why our businesses suffer, because there's a conflict between parent and student, or parent has a fixed mindset, or coaching institutes have already said fit ji karna hai, right? So this would definitely break that stereotype. Every single parent, whether they have decided career or they have not decided career, whether they are conflicted or they are not conflicted, they have to come and speak. Because yes, that's going to be linking to all other activities which Amin was talking about, right? Devendra, what do you think? Samina, you want to speak something?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Surbhi and Pranav, first, because it was an amazing session and amazing giveaway. We were, looking forward to something we can offer to, like, 6, 7, 8 years of age. That, I meet parents. नहीं, अभी तो like हमारा बच्चा छोटा है, they don't need profile building. Now, if we suggest something, then we are validating it with a test. So it is amazing. So, if we are going to a school also, we are having something that we can offer to the whole school, like from first grade to 12th. And that's amazing. And the skills
this age, right? Samina, you have kids of this age. You should give it to them.
I have to. I will try as soon as I get the links. I will try on both of them, because my elder kid is really interested. He's good at science and maths as a subject, but he's really interested towards the digital things. He is having that entrepreneurship skills. From yesterday only, he started building. He learned coding from his school. Now he started building his own website and planning to offer people that I build a website and kind of stuff. And he has a Shark Tank thing also. He had his friend for investment also for 10% of his stake.
Yeah.
These kind of skills children need to build that, and it's amazing. Thank you very much, Surbhi.
Okay, can I speak now?
Yes, Devendra, absolutely. Because I'm hoping this will push your business. Because if it pushed your business, I remember Devendra, I want to put spotlight on Devendra. I want everybody to meet Devendra. He is always somebody who would come forward and let us know that how career assessments or how things have really helped him. Yes, Devendra, over to you.
First of all, thank you, Surbhi, for giving this opportunity. And second, thank you for giving opportunity to attend this session to my child also. So that's great first. Now about this psychometry and all the things. Initially, do you remember that when I was there with you in the cohort, that time I told you that I got my own coaching institute. And that time I was doing something with teachers. But now I changed my activities. Because initially it was my last product, CareerGuide was.
Okay.
So after student was leaving me, I had given them the psychometry.
Okay.
Now I had changed that position and I placed it in front product.
Okay.
So what happens now when a student meet me, if parents meet me, I talk to him about the career guidance, psychometry analysis, and then I will give him the admission. And that builds the trust. So when you place your product from the last position to the first position, initially I was charging something around 15 or 20,000 rupees per year. But due to this shift of the charges and products, I have got many students from CBSE, ICSE, or maybe from the London also. And at the same time, the charges are moved up to 10 times now.
Wow.
So how to place your product in the market and where you are going to place your product in your activities also. It plays very important role. And due to your guidance and guidance from the Pranav, I got always this enthusiasm that, yeah, can we do this? Can I do that? And that all that always pays. So, and see, I am actually MSc Physics. So I was inclined towards the psychometry from last 15 or 20 years with Dr. Anand Nadkarni, if you know that person also. He is a very great psychiatrist in India.
Okay.
And I am associated with him. And due to that, I came to know about all the psychometry and all the things. But that was the paper pencil test. And now what you have created is something more than that, which helps students from all over the Maharashtra also. So that is really appreciable. And every time what you work towards all of us to give us the business is really awesome. So thank you for creating, and thank you Pranav. जैसे अमीन सर ने बोला कि 6 साल पहले अगर क्रिप्टो समझता था, तो I feel that today also. And if I know that crypto 6 years before, then I can have got 2 or 3 bitcoins also. But let's see what happens. Not to me. But thank you, Pranav. Thank you. Superb session.
Fantastic. Devendra, you will have your 20 codes. Vandana, all the 20 codes would be for all the classes. You can run it through. It should be simple using This entire product is simple like the previous assessment, but if you need any training, we'll try to pre-record it, or Nishu is here. She can help you. Nishu and Pratibha can help you for the operational thing. Apply the coupon code, run it through. There's a possibility it's a new product, it's a new technology. There might be some glitch. I'm not saying we are always perfect, but feel free to let us know if you're facing any glitch anywhere. We'll be more than happy to fix it on the priority. Right. And Anupama, I'm hoping you will have more webinars now talking about 24th century skill and learning style. In fact, I'll encourage now everybody. I also want to share something more, and I would want all of you to replicate this if you have a website. And if you don't have a website, Vinay, I'm not sure if you're around on this call or not. I see you attending, not speaking, but yes, welcome. I would also want you to see this career service section of ours and try to position your services in a very split manner. We took this feedback from everybody. We said that the way we are selling to our customer, let it break it down and also position for all of you. If you break down your services, it will be very, very easy. So I will request everybody to spend your time on our career service section, which it's the same thing, but it's a different design, which you will get to see. But it will really ease your presentation when you have to pitch your services. This also turned out, I was doing a couple of one-on-one sessions with newly minted career counselors. I was talking to one of the career counselors who's part of our cohort, and she mentioned that she needs business work. She is either looking for a job. If she doesn't find a great job, she'll go ahead and continue doing her career guidance practice. So I asked her, what is the amount of job, what is the kind of salary she's looking at the job? She mentioned 50,000. It's like, great, that's a good number. So what is the number of hours you will be giving in job? She mentioned 8 hours. So my next question to her was that how many hours are you giving to your current setup in career guidance? She said maybe 4 to 5 hours in a week. So my entire thing is, if you're willing to give 8 hours to a job, 8 into 6 days, approximately you are giving 50 hours. But why do you expect that in your own setup of career guidance, by just giving 5 to 6 hours, you expecting that same 50K? It has to be proportional. Yes, you will reach to that point once you have your credibility built around. Once you have your credibility built around, you don't have to work for 8 hours a day. But for initial setup, you can't give 8 hours, fine. But a consistent 4 hours, 5 hours, unless you won't give, I mean, expecting a return is a bit difficult, right? If you're thinking, I mean, best comparison is like, 8 hours, 50K job versus, you are doing 4 hours a week and getting something, right? So yes, when I was talking to her, I also felt that she has a lot of audience across in different age group, but not able to capitalize on it. So that was the thought process, and that was the thought process even to segregating this on our homepage and showing it to all of you. And with this, I'll let you all go enjoy your Sunday, have your lunch. It's 2 o'clock. I've been keeping all of you waiting. Yes, and lovely sharing and coming forward, encouraging all of us, and all the nice words. It really, pushes me, or it really motivates me to do what I am doing. So all of you are my strength. All of you are, all your encouragement is my encouragement, which makes me like, oh, let's do this. Let's try to make this better. I'm super committed to the fact that people don't come forward and say, hey, career guidance is not a business. It's just a hobby. I really want to change that. I really want people to be making very good money out of career guidance, making a cult, becoming a local celebrity, and making money out of that. So I definitely want that. I don't want it to go to coaching centers of medical and IIT JEE and BBA prep. It should, the kind of cult and the kind of credibility should lie with career coaches. So with that, I'll let you all go. Have a good Sunday. Thank you, everybody. And you will have in next 2 days all the coupon codes in your inbox, but only for people who attended this session.
So can I, my son also get that?
Devendra, yes, I think we should give it to him.
Thank you.
Codes.
Yeah, thank you. And Survi, I will request you that please keep once or two, means between 2 months, one session should be there.
I think I'll open it up for one month, one session.
Yeah, 1 month, one session, or 2 month, one session also will be okay if you are too busy. But because that creates the buzz in the mind of the people.
I'm sorry, in between the second wave of COVID and recovery, we were really getting on our feet and it was getting difficult for us. But yes, I think things should be good now. Reena,
thank you, Pranav.
becomes more popular in Pune now. Right, you're already super popular, now more popular. Right. Guys, feel free to stay and have your lunch, and those who want to chit chat, we can do this. Yes. Yes, Reena, I think I should put up a spotlight on you. Okay, yes. That's Reena.
Thank you, Surbi.
So yeah, I get to learn a lot from you, especially your all this WhatsApp group and stuff. And I hope now you start taking assessments for all the age group and start.
Yeah, exactly. We were looking for, because parents required this, so you made it possible. Definitely, we'll go ahead with this. Let me check. Like, you are giving us the gifts, so we will use that. Yeah, thank you so much. And yes, we are enjoying counseling sessions every day. 3 to 4 sessions we are doing it.
Vandana, I've added you in group 2, so I hope you will get more replies. Priya, my number is 8800385411. I'm not sure if you are on WhatsApp group or not. If not, we will add it to you. Right. All right, everybody, have a great Sunday. I'm just switching off this Zoom.
Yes, thank you, Surbi.
Bye.